Welcome back to another episode of the Grassroots Tennis Podcast, a platform created to entertain, educate, and grow the game of tennis at all levels. My friends call me Ship, but this show isn't about me. We will be bringing you interviews with coaches, community leaders, and players, along with updates about tennis happening around the world. Tennis is a culture, and we are all writing tennis history together. Today, I am here with Manny Edwards. Manny may or may not be the best kept secret in the Midwest if you haven't heard of him quite yet. He has been hanging out in Indianapolis, Indiana at B.A.S.E. Tennis. Manny, first and foremost, I just want to say welcome to the pod.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me. This is awesome. I love what you're doing here.
So I just want to start by kind of throwing it to you. You're a little bit different as far as your background from maybe some of the people that we've talked to so far. I love the stuff that's always on your story and on your social media. But maybe kind of fill us in first and foremost with what your background is, and then we'll get into talking about what it is that you do.
Okay. Well, so I guess I was a track athlete, went to college for track, then walked on for football. And then from there, I kind of, after I was all that was said and done, I started an athletic performance company after I got my degree and everything. And from there, I was training all athletes, and it was not really doing well, but it wasn't doing bad. And then I had a couple of tennis players come in to work with us, and it got to the point where it was like they were 3-0 players and they got to 4-0. And one of them, that's a huge jump. Sorry, one was 3-0, one was 3-5, and that's a huge jump. And he went undefeated to the point where he had to lose 2 matches on purpose to just so he didn't get put up to 4-5, because that's when it's no longer fun. That's when it's ballers. So we kind of figured, okay. And then we noticed that there was really nobody really doing the athletic performance training for the tennis athletes. So I reached out to a guy, Pat Etcheberry, who had trained me to become a better athlete before that. And sorry.
You're fine.
Sorry, I'm really sorry about that.
I can edit it out. You're good.
So okay, cool. So when with Pat, he gave me the whole, why don't you come on out here? You gotta stop the athletic training for all sports and come out and learn tennis. And no brain out there for a week or two, see what he's talking about. I ended up being out there way longer, and obviously I didn't get paid anything, but I was able to be out there and learn and watch him do what he was doing with some of the best in the world. Watch him do what some of the things he was doing with Francis, some of those guys from the College Park, Andrew Fenty. They would always come down to his place, which is like an hour outside of Orlando, and train. So I was very fortunate to be around that program and those guys, and I learned a lot. Came back up here and opened it up and started doing it. And I was again fortunate enough to work with a guy named Sule, who was out here, and he happened to work with Pat and Pete Sampras at a camp one time. So when he knew that I worked with Pat, he gave me the opportunity to work with a couple of his players, and those players were already very, very good players. So I got a chance to kind of help elevate some of the best players in town to some of the better players in the Midwest. And Sule, I give a lot of credit to Sule, and then another coach named Carl Crowder, who gave me the opportunity to come in here and show what I could do. So that's how I got started here. And then obviously, we kind of just blew up because there was really nobody doing what we were doing. But yes, so it's been really good, and that's kind of how I got started. And yeah,
that's pretty cool. So maybe take an opportunity here to share with people a lot. When people are coming to you, what are they looking for, and what are you specifically helping them with? Like what it is that you do on a week in, week out basis.
The goal for me it really all depends. So we have athletes now that some that are just recreational players that just want to become better or enjoy the game more. So those are the guys who have come to our groups and just become better athletes, learn how to warm up properly, learn how to move around the court the right way, learn how to condition their bodies the right way. So, but then there's guys like Fletchall, who's a little bit different of a situation. So he needed to become. He was incredibly talented. Like just, I mean, golly, I mean, he could do anything with a racket. And I got an opportunity to work with him, and the goal for him was, okay, let's get a little bit lighter on the court. Let's move a little bit better, right? Let's get our balance a lot better so that when we do the magic shots, they go from magic to, one of a kind shots, because now it's not just talent, now a lot more balanced. So, Aaron, come out here and warm up, man. Let's go. Sorry about that.
You're fine.
So yeah, so that's how it normally works. But we have semi-private groups, and we have the private training option, and that's kind of where a lot of the magic happens in my program.
No, I love that. And I think what's cool is there's not a lot of people doing that. Obviously, you look at academies or people with their training programs, and it's like, oh, let's get kids on court for 4 or 5 hours, and it's all different ways to hit balls, hit balls, hit balls. But I watch your content, and I see you filling the gaps. You are the glue that's really holding these athletes together and making them stronger, and kind of building them up. Whether, like you said, they need to be stronger, or they need to be more balanced. It's impressive. I definitely enjoy seeing the things that you post. Bang for your buck. If somebody was talking to you and just wanted advice, um, usually when someone comes in your door, what's the best thing they can be doing to improve? Is there something that you see that's super common?
Yeah, just learning about a process, and learn, like, a lot of people just don't even know how to warm up. And if you don't know how to warm up, how can you ever be properly prepared for anything, right? Whether it's for a practice, whether it's for a match. So that was one of the biggest things that when we started here in Indy, either nobody was doing it or there was some crap variant of it. So since we've been here, every program is doing a full dynamic warm up, and they're taking a lot of their first 20 minutes now to do that instead of just up and back. So that was one of the first things that you noticed. People didn't even know how to warm up, and then I mean, just the becoming a better athlete alone. If you can get to the ball faster, if you're more balanced, all of a sudden, a lot of these things start to make a difference, right? If you got 2 3-0 players or 2 3 UTRs and they're similar, okay, who has a bigger forehand? What do you have those weapons? But you also have the measures. Okay, who has a better balance? Who can move better, right? Who can
Yeah.
explode a little bit higher on the serve? So all these things start to come in play, and that can come from just working the tennis technique and match stuff like that. That's hard. That's hard. And some people get it, some people don't. But you can always become a better athlete, and that's the key when you walk through our doors. Is how can we help you become a better athlete and learn how to stay healthy all while doing it? Because that's key. If you can't be on the court because you're unhealthy or you're injured, it doesn't really matter. You're no good to yourself or anybody, and that's tough.
I have seen young athletes who are extremely coordinated, but they don't know how to, use their core or to use their legs the way that they need to. I've seen young athletes that are so fast that it's almost a detriment to them because they don't know how to be balanced. They're, you see, and I'm sure you've seen all of these things. Um, I've been saying for probably at least 10 years to young people, the level of fitness has to match the level of tennis. Like, you can keep
Yep.
getting better at tennis, but if you don't have the ability to do it um, efficiently, if your body is falling apart, if you can't do it in a 3-hour match, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, if you run into that other person who's at that same level as you. It's a game of inches. Like, are you going to be able to separate yourself or maintain that level? Mental toughness is a huge
Yep.
thing, but also just your body. So everything. I mean, I what would you say? What would you say would be? I love that you have a different background and then you become a tennis guy. Like, as someone who played two completely different sports at the college level, which is not easy to do, how would you take things you've learned from that and maybe give advice to people who are in tennis and actually have goals, whether it's they want to go from being a 3.5 to a 4.0, or it's a young person that wants to play college tennis? Like, what's the best advice you could give them, just as someone who's played college athletics and has a different background?
I would say that to the small things matter, right? Like the biggest thing that I took from my arena coming in here is like when I start, and it caused a lot of problems here in Indianapolis when I first came, because it didn't make sense to me, the little tennis guy who was getting paid 25, $30 for a private, which was unheard of in tennis. But I didn't. I had to prove my worth, right? It didn't make sense. And then I paid 25. They paid me $25, and I go pay $23 to rent the court. So I made $2, right, for this. But and then you got me showing up to their tournaments, right? Okay, we worked on this movement 2 or 3 times this week. Let's go watch them play. I'm excited to see them do it. And I'm like, okay, they're not even trying it. So then you have these things. Okay, so now we know what we need to work on, right? So what I took from my arena is whether it was growing up young playing basketball, football, running track, there was always a coach there, right? Who, okay, we see this is what you struggle with in your game. This is what we need to work on. Okay, you're holding you score 4 touchdowns, but you had 2 fumbles because you're running like this, you athlete. Tuck that thing in, look on video, tuck that thing in. Now you're not fumbling, right? Same thing with these tennis players. They're hitting really great shots sometimes, so they get bailed out. But when there's things that they could just be doing a lot better, that'll make things a lot easier for them, right? So the video analysis was huge, going over game film, right? Showing up to tournament matches, seeing my athletes actually try to execute these things and seeing if they were actually going for it. And so, and versus just saying, yeah, it was good. So now we're seeing it, and now we're accelerating the process by months, just by showing up to one tournament, right? That caused issues because why am I doing it and their tennis coaches weren't doing it? So I had to make a choice, and that for the longest time, even still to this day, is tough because coaches don't like that. But for me, it helps my program in a massive way, being able to see my athletes. So I would say take advantage of training the right way, the little things. So if they go out and serve, they go out and want to hit a better forehand, go work on that movement, set up your phone on the side and do a little bit of self-coaching, right? And then, okay, am I loading my back leg? Am I loading my front leg? How am I landing? You know what I mean? Am I transferring? Am I recovery step the right way? Things like that. And now if you're training it, it's going to be a lot easier to apply it. So those are the two things that I brought, and I would say that I would like to recommend that our kids go out and do.
I think it's extremely underrated and underutilized, the value of just watching yourself play. I tell young I learned how to play tennis. I'm from the middle of nowhere, and when I did, I recorded myself all the
Mm.
time, and then I spent hours watching on YouTube the best players in the world, and I was like, what's the difference between my forehand and their forehand? What's the difference between my serve and their serve? And I would watch and I would watch and I nitpicked it. But it's even the next level when you have someone who has the experience that you have, having that additional set of eyes, having someone else to go, because you might see one thing and someone else might say, yeah, you're not doing that. But did you notice this? Because what someone else
Mm-hmm.
notices might be different than what you notice. And it's so important to get those eyes on you so that you're actually getting. I don't feel like there's like you can always filter it out if you feel like you're getting too much advice, but getting those extra eyes, I feel like are just huge. Like if somebody comes to see you
Yeah,
and you see, 5 things and they leave with one that really sticks, they've improved exponentially. You have moved the needle.
absolutely. Exactly. I'm 100% a believer in that, even if it's just one thing. So
The amount of people that
I'm a
could
fan of that.
probably improve just from doing having themselves evaluated and then doing 2 or 3 sessions with you, almost like if they came once a month and they were driving 2 hours, just like almost like a doctor checkup, to check in.
Mm,
That's the amount of work,
yeah.
because in the back of their mind, they're leaving, they're going, this is what I worked on today, and I've got to be better at that by the time I go back. It's,
Yep.
I mean, just huge. So I'm gonna
And it's
switch gears
important for us
here.
as coaches too when you have those people that do that. Like I have kids that drive, a couple that drive here from Fort Wayne, and one that drives 1 or 2 times a week from Terre Haute. You may know them because you don't know the roads. You remember Kane and Sellers?
I do.
He was, and so a lot of the kids that were from his town, they still come up like the roads and all that. So um, it just it keeps the coach. If the coach can make sure they're holding themselves a little bit more accountable, like me, I got to make sure. Okay, she's driving out here for an hour and a half. Got to make sure I'm giving, not just giving her a great session, but they got to make sure they're going home with stuff because, like you said, it's just a checkup. So what my job as a coach is to make sure that she has enough to do while she's gone. All right, how can I continue to get better? It doesn't take much for me to be like, okay, like to write a workout for her. And if she does it, I'm going to know whether she opens the app or not or whatever, or if it's going to show in court. If you're doing this 2, 3 times a week, and on top of this, that's a sweet spot. So
Right. I'm going to switch gears here. And I just want to know, obviously your practice sessions are different than just like a normal tennis practice session. It's something that's beneficial in its own way, and actually something that more people should probably be doing. For you, what does a good practice or training session look like from beginning to end? What does it look like?
that's tough. Like we have it to where we have a program. So if you're coming with us 3 times a week, we have this is what we're working on this day, this day, this day. Now we're going to try to hit everything, but they'll a normal group would maybe be they come in and do their dynamic warm up, and if it's an upper body strength day or if it's a full body strength day, we make sure we go out to our fitness area and do that, and then we do our movement. So we're doing our actual. There's some form of agility, balance, speed, movement, and then strength in every one of our sessions.
Yeah.
So,
What is
but on some of our other sessions, like our elite sessions, so those are for some of our athletes with higher goals. That's an add-on. Like 'cause now we can actually work on a lot more tennis specific movement. We can do it in groups, but we can only do so much because I have a job to keep them healthy and get them stronger, right? So the kids who were in our elite program, like this one last week was it was the front row. We're working on the front foot hop, and then the forehand pop volley technique. So the footwork from transition into the court. So those sessions are a lot different because since we have something specific that we're working on, we're going to we're in the resistance bands. We're going to work on back and forth movement, hopping through, transferring through, get the medicine balls there, get the resistant rackets there. Then they get a chance to go out there and apply it. So in that way, we get that instant transition instead of the next day. They're not thinking about it until the next day. Does that make sense?
when they're feeling it? They're already in that learning zone. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that makes
And that's
total
why
sense.
for me, the dream is to work with a tennis coach. For me, like the team thing, and this if my job is, I want it to be where every tennis coach is sending their kids to me because we can work as a team. For a while, they've looked at me as competition because I've been at other tennis clubs, but my ultimate goal is to help the tennis coaches. So the tennis coach never has to say load. So the tennis coach doesn't have to show how to teach an open stance. So if they want to work on running out wide on the forehand and get better at it, they're doing that here with the speed and resistance training, and then with the medicine ball work. So the goal in this is to ultimately help the tennis coach. Does that make sense?
No, it's exactly what they're doing at the highest level. Every college
Yep.
high, Division I college team, they've got a trainer
Yeah.
specifically for that. And then you've got at the pro level, everyone's got their team. They've got, their physio, they've got their coach, they've got just the different people helping them. Obviously, there's a lot of budget that goes into that. But I mean, I can tell you right now, if I was closer, I'd be sending kids your way a lot. I mean, I have a lot of respect. I wish that was something that it's weird. but it's like being from a small town, you would think it would be hard for
Mm,
people to justify the cost of both. That's the issue being a small
yeah,
town. Bigger city, more people, different demographic. I could see it totally makes sense. And I can believe, anyone that's living close that's actually serious about tennis, not taking advantage of that opportunity. It doesn't make sense to me. So, no, I love it. What do you
yeah,
feel like inside of your sessions, what does the intensity look like? What is the mindset like? I understand, like, depending on their age and level, it can vary. And sometimes, like, if you're teaching a footwork pattern or reteaching a footwork pattern, or maybe someone's not loading right or using their body right, it could become the process can slow, back to a really,
yeah.
learning zone. But in general,
So
what's the
that's
pace of
our
everything? What is the expectation that you have for your athletes throughout your training sessions?
um so again, like we have sessions for different age groups or
Yeah,
different levels. But for me, it's a little bit different here because player in the city can lose to the best, can not look near as good as the best athlete who's the worst tennis player in the city. So the biggest thing for me is making sure everybody is getting this as a team environment. So no matter what, I bring the football mentality. I'm on if you're not locked in, there's a problem. And I mean, that's giving me issues in the past. There's kids. The kids are incredible, man. They are incredible, but there's been a lot of bottles and milk going around lately. And for me, I treat the kids like respected athletes and they're from jump, no matter what. And that goes a long way. So now they're already locked in, engaged. And then on top of that, we have an awesome environment here that's been established. And then our older kids are always incredible. So I'm always pairing them. So kids, you can teach kids languages at young ages and they just pick it up. Or, me and you, it's a wrap. So if the kids are seeing it most of the time and having the video analysis equipment that we have in here, it's been amazing from a standpoint of a teaching standpoint. The BOSU balls and stuff like that, we don't necessarily use them for strength. We use them as a teaching tool to teach them how to load and explode out and transfer the power forward. It's more natural when you're exploding off of BOSU. So we don't run into many issues, but we try to have something for everybody. Like,
yeah,
does that make sense?
yeah.
We have a
I've
teaching tool for
I've
everybody.
always I've always said that kids learn from other kids, and whenever that
Hmm.
expectation is set, if you've got someone goofing off over here, you're robbing every single person in that session. You are. If
Oh yeah,
everybody's if
lots
everybody's
of
there and
lunges,
has
lots of
goals,
push-ups.
well, if everyone's there with the same goal and like you're doing it right, you're seeing someone else and you're like, oh wow, they're doing it slightly different than me. And then all of a sudden, mimicry is the oldest form of learning. You are subconsciously doing it and just getting better by mimicking the people around you are also doing the workout. You can do that by watching the best of the world play on YouTube, but you can do it even better being there with someone, experiencing it with them,
Yes.
being close to them, close up. And then even if you're not close, you're there to say, hey, your knees needs to be going out, it's going inward here, or you need to be pushed through the base of you're not pushing through your foot, like through your toes or through your heel or what I don't, those are weird
Yes.
examples, but you see what
Yeah,
you know
I
what I
get
mean?
it.
That it's that, or your elbow is just in the wrong spot, or wow, when you're finishing, your hips are off instead of right behind where the ball was supposed to be. And so they're learning, they're trying to do what you're doing.
Yes.
They're
Preach.
subconsciously learning from the person that's in front of them that's also doing it around them. That intensity's coming, and then you're there like a sculptor
Mhm.
of clay, fixing it, all the small
Yeah,
details,
that's right.
like a piece of art. You are the master artist, is what you are doing.
Mm,
And that's pretty special. I love that. If you
I appreciate that.
No, absolutely. We're gonna get together at some point. I'm gonna come see you, for sure, and I need to watch you do what you do. I have no doubt that you are a master teacher in what you're doing, and probably one of the best in the world. I've seen it. Passionate people
Yeah,
recognize
appreciate
other
that.
passionate people, and you can tell the difference between someone who's BSing and somebody who knows what they're talking about. And I have seen nothing but greatness from what you're doing. So, um, Manny, if
It's
you
awesome. I
could
appreciate
give
that.
if you could give advice to any 13-year-old athlete, what would that advice be? What's the best piece of advice you could give to like a 13-year-old who has goals?
Just don't,
Or even
just
better, go
don't let
back.
anybody tell you can't.
Go ahead. I was gonna say, and
Go ahead,
then
I'm
what
sorry.
advice for yourself? What advice would have you given yourself at 13 if you could go back?
Advice I give myself at 13, if I could go back, is buy Bitcoin. I'm obviously kidding. It would be to it would be for me, it would just be to make sure like I got pushed away from my goals early because it didn't make sense. And I kind of always fought back, oh, you're too short to do this, you're too short to do that. So for me, just I would just be keep pushing, even though people tell you you can't do your goals. And that's the same thing with a lot of these kids. Like a lot of these kids, like I have 12-year-olds that I just want to win one match. Man, I ain't got time for that. We're gonna win tournaments. All right, let's have bigger, better goals. And then we're doing it, right? And with the proper coaching, with the proper tennis coaching, and you add this into it, man, it's a recipe. It's a cheat code. It's a cheat code. You're not taking years to develop things. You're taking months, right? So I do have a client over here who's been patiently waiting. I would really love to get back on this one time and finish. Go ahead. I know you have another question. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So you're ready. You need to start a session with someone.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I get you with one more question? Let me get you with one last question. What's something I should have asked you that I didn't? Is there anything else you'd like to share, just in general?
I mean, I just want. I would love to bring a little bit more, or maybe just a little less softness to the tennis community. I really believe that kids can do so much more than we give them credit for, man. And I think that like, sometimes you say you're overcoaching or whatever and stuff like that, but with direction, like kids can do some crazy things. So, I mean, I don't really have anything else I want to share, but that's just if my mission is just I just really want people to believe what their kids can do. I mean, just I hate people getting limited. I really, really do.
Manny, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on the Grassroots Tennis Podcast. To anybody who listened to this episode, where can they follow you and find you, like on social media and such? You want to give your handles?
Instagram is B.A.S.E.C Tennis Performance Lab. And I don't really use social media for anything else. We may have a Twitter, we may not. But
so Instagram or through your website. You want to give them your website?
Yeah, our website is BASECtennis.com, B-A-S-E-C tennis.com. And you know, if you want to see hold on, how do I turn this around so you can see the court, man, so you can see the technology, man. We're doing some cool things out here. It's my birthday today, and a couple of my kids just got here with some cookies. Now I have to eat one of them, and that's gonna hurt. But thank you so much for having me, and I really
absolutely appreciate it. We'll be in touch. To anyone who listened to this episode, make sure to give the follow on Instagram. Manny, thank you so much. Take care. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you, man. Take care.
Yep, and happy birthday.
Thank you, man.